Welcome to Friday Night Party Line. I'm your host, Victor Frost, and today we've got a gaggle of great guests. Gaggle. Starting off, we have our always appearing Jerba. Hey, Jerbs.
Hey, what's up?
It's all going good. How about you, man?
Oh, you know, same old. Playing a lot of Watch Dogs. It has been pretty fun, though there has been a lot of hate for it on the internets. I am generally enjoying it. Good game.
Good.
We have once again on the show, if you didn't pick up his voice earlier, we've got Thade. Thade is back. Hey.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are things doing for you?
Can't complain. It's nice in Cleveland, which it never is. So this is a rarity.
For those of you who are listening to the show only in audio form, which I should imagine is the majority of you, Thade is enjoying a nice cigar and some whiskey, you said, right?
No, Scotch. Well, Scotch whiskey,
He's enjoying Scotch and a cigar, and it's gonna be it's a good time.
And old man on the show.
And for the last, actually not the last of our guests, because we do have an in-studio guest, we have online Scott Johnson. Hey, Scojo.
Hey.
How's it going?
It's been real busy.
Oh, well, we're glad you could take the time to get on the show today. All right. So, and finally, the last of our guests in studio for her second Friday Night Party Line appearance in ages. It's Amanda. Hey, Amanda.
Hey.
Amanda, if you're not familiar, was on the show a long while ago, and she has done a panel with me over at Anime Los Angeles a couple of years ago. Jeez. So that video is online on the YouTube channel as well if you want to check that out. But let's get on with the show. We've got a good amount of really interesting topics, I feel, this month. Lots of controversy. Starting off with perhaps the one that's generated the most controversy in our specific demographic. If you haven't been hiding under a rock and you've been keeping up with the hubbub that's been going on the internet, Nintendo's game Tomodachi Life has been facing quite a bit of flack recently from the LGBTQ, and I forget the rest of that ginormous acronym, community. And they have been... Basically, the problem is that Tomodachi Life does not allow same-sex relationships. In the game, you can, your Mii can get into a relationship with any other Mii you create, as long as it's the opposite sex, and that's been causing some problems. So, guys, what do you think about this? I mean, the community, the person who's been spearheading the petition for this to be changed has said that we don't want people to not buy the game. We just want it to be fixed in an update. Is this something that should be fixed? Is it a big deal?
I think the main problem and the main reason behind this is simply because it would be unworkable with their current system, because everybody would want to marry Reggie Fils-Aimé and his body is just not ready.
Oh dear.
But I mean, it is. I mean, joking aside, I mean, is this something that could even be feasible? I mean, we know that games have some capacity for an update, but Tomodachi Life is not just a game that you can download from the Nintendo store. It's a game that is available on the cartridge. Is it feasible to expect Nintendo to be able to update this game? Yes.
Huh. That's interesting.
I get updates to Pokemon all the time. I get updates to Animal Crossing all the time.
Really?
Well, when they come out. They just come out straight over the air, straight through Nintendo Store. There is zero reason why they can't update this both on cartridge and download play.
Okay.
Was there a specific age range set up for Tomodachi Life or anything like that?
Good question.
Because it was pretty cutesy, so I wonder if they were gearing it towards kids.
I mean, it should be available for everybody. I think that's
because I wonder if that was part of their concern in not setting up same-sex marriages, just because there's younger children in the mix and they can't necessarily expose a child to that. That's more of the parents' job.
Yeah, I think it's rated. Yeah, it's rated E for everyone.
What was Mass Effect rated? Because Mass Effect kind of pioneered same-sex.
I'm pretty sure that was like NC-17 or something.
It was rated M for mature.
Or M, yeah, and so was Dragon Age, which also probably.
Which also allowed the same. A lot of the sames are like like 18 and up, or M for mature, or something like that. Normally, when it's E for everyone, they try to keep the concern of the parents in mind. So I could see it as like an update.
Does anyone know what rating The Sims was given? Because The Sims did allow same-sex relationships.
I don't know.
I can find out.
Just
The
take a
internet.
little
To Google.
To Google.
Well, I guess
Very-
the argument that it's family friendly is a little strange, because I think the argument that they're trying to make is that Nintendo should have just assumed that they should be allowed to have same-sex relationships in it, because we're not talking about the sexual aspect of these relationships. We're talking about just like the fun, like kind of semi-kiddie relationship.
Well,
Will you go out with me?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, this whole thing can be put into a really interesting perspective when you realize the fact that in Japan, same-sex marriage isn't legal at all.
Exactly.
So-
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of places that same-sex marriage still isn't legal.
Yeah, but when we were looking at, a lot of us look at this game from, the Western perspective. Even though there's lots of chunks of the United States, for example, that doesn't allow same-sex marriage, we still sort of look at it as, oh, okay, well, this is it. This is a thing that happens. So,
Okay. Here's the thing. The Sims 3 was rated teen by the ESRB, and interestingly, the Australian Classification Board rated it M.
Oh,
Sexual references.
Yeah, so there you go. See, it's all hitting along that line that it's E for everyone, and it is family based. So pushing that kind of a relationship within it without a parent or somebody consenting to it makes it a little more difficult for the company. Lawsuits, that good stuff.
Yeah, well, I would have thought that maybe it was they were getting the mature because you could like lock a relative in The Sims in like a room and have them starve to death and die.
No, they did do it for sexual things and stuff like that, because there's actually some scenes where they.
What, when
Shut
they're
up.
taking a shower and all there is sensor bars around everything?
It's suggested.
You can actually woohoo someone to death in The Sims.
Woo.
You can screw someone into dying of exhaustion.
Yeah.
That's hilarious to me. I don't know why. Death by snoo snoo.
Oh no.
So I mean, I don't think they're arguing that like, gay marriage is like legal everywhere, so it should be in everything. I think they're looking at the media to kind of be on the forefront. How we had shows like Will and Grace and stuff like that like made it more normal.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, you take Seinfeld and put gay characters in it, and that's Will and Grace right there. So, I think though there is. I mean, first of all, I didn't know that the game could be updated that easily because I don't have a 3DS. But with that in mind, I mean, it does seem it really is stupid that they don't do that. I mean, how much of a difference in coding would it take? He says naive. If Nelson were here, though.
Yeah. That's a lot more work than you think it is. Gamers would cringe at that.
Programmers would cringe at that anyways.
Well, at least the ones who understand it.
Yeah. All right, well, moving along then. Looks like we're going to actually head off. Huh?
I mean, I really don't see the problem with the whole thing, even code-wise, because it can't be that difficult. Because you can reuse all of the relationship code from the different sex marriage business in Tamagotchi Life, and then just, basically change a few variables, I figure, because it's not like gay marriage is that different to regular marriage, People love each other, they argue, they screw, they do whatever married people do,
I still think it's a family media issue. I don't think it's necessarily that they didn't want to program it in or anything like that, because it is still a very touch-and-go subject, even in today's standards.
It could also be a business decision, and it'll cost them money to go in and change those aspects of the game, and maybe the game doesn't make that much money to begin with.
Oh, and hey, maybe the thing with localization. I mean, if it's illegal in Japan, and the game, that means they have to have a separate version for Japan or other countries that it's illegal, as opposed to, having
places where it's legal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit weird to call it illegal when it would be more accurate to say that it is not legal to. Because illegal kind of implies that, you get married and then the cops are kicking down your door.
Yeah.
Those underground gay marriages.
The gay mafia is organizing gay marriages all over Japan. The gay Yakuza.
Underground darknet patches for Tomodachi Life.
Get your 3DS on the Tor network, kiddies. We're going to the darknet.
I know someone
virtual drugs with fake bitcoins, and by that I mean bitcoins.
Not Dogecoins?
Oh dear.
Not Fedora coin.
I like the fact that there is a NASCAR car sponsored with like the whole Dogecoin logo right plastered all over it. That's just brilliant. There's something.
I don't know. Dogecoin has been a whole hell of a lot smarter about the whole thing than Bitcoin, and actually stands a better chance of being usable as a currency.
Wouldn't it be funny if
Bitcoin
dies and
market?
Wouldn't it be funny if Bitcoin dies and Dogecoin is the one that comes out on top out of all this?
God, I hope that happens.
Yeah, it'd be hilarious.
Can you guys hear me at all? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
What, were you saying stuff and we couldn't hear you?
Yeah, I spent the last 10 minutes. I was actually really funny, but now it's too late.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
Sorry, dude.
Blame
we
Google.
missed out on it.
All right. Well, on a similar note, if you don't live in America, you may be aware that Eurovision happened recently, and the winner was I don't know what. All the media has been calling her a drag queen, which is that accurate? Churba, do you know?
I don't know.
Not actually sure, to be honest, whether she is a drag queen or whether she actually identifies as a she.
Mm. Well, the thing is, okay. Well, we'll get back to that in about a minute. But Conchita Wurst won the Eurovision contest. If you have not seen a picture of her, she is a very fabulous-looking woman with a rather nicely trimmed 5 o'clock shadow.
Okay, can answer. It is the guy is a drag queen.
Okay.
He uses male pronouns for himself and female pronouns for the stage character. So when we're talking about Conchita Wurst, I suppose we should use female pronouns.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
All right. So Conchita Wurst won the Eurovision. She is from what country was she from?
Austrian.
Austria. She's from Austria, which really took away the problem that a lot of people were worried about Ukraine facing off against Russia in Eurovision. But it did introduce a completely different question because Conchita is the first drag queen to win Eurovision, and she won it in a sweep. Like, it was not even an issue. So if you haven't been following the news, Russia has been bringing up a whole lot of brouhaha about it. Oh, it's the corruption of values, etc., etc. And there's been some articles that are going around, going on the internet saying that oh, this is a giant step, and while you could say that it is a giant step, some people would say, and I think there's some a bit of validity to the statement that it's brought up by Andrew Hornery from the Sydney Morning Herald, saying it's just a beard, people.
I know that guy.
You know that guy?
Yeah.
All Australians know each other.
It's a small world.
Oh, you'd be surprised how many times when you're overseas, people are like, oh, hey, I knew this Australian Barry. Do you know him?
No.
No? It's like 23 million people here. But no, it is a very small community with journalists. So.
Right. So, I mean, is it... There's some question has to be brought up about whether or not that... And the article that this guy makes is that, he's, quote, please spare me the political adulation. Call me old-fashioned, but I have some doubts that Conchita will be remembered in 6 months' time, let alone be considered one of the great paragons of human rights in the 21st century. Is this sort of thing just a flash in the pan, sort of, oh, wow, this is front row and center, we're going to pay attention to it now, and then nothing? Or is the fact that Conchita won Eurovision actually meaningful?
Can you name the other people who won Eurovision the other years?
No, but I can name Verka Serdushka, and I can name those awesome Russian grannies.
The Russian grannies, they were cute.
Other than that, I don't really pay too much attention to who actually wins Eurovision. It's just that this has been such a big thing in the news that you can't help but.
So, publicity of her winning, hasn't it made it back here too?
Okay, Churba's got a thing. Churba's looking very happy here.
Okay, sorry, Churba.
I can name a Eurovision winner.
Oh.
ABBA.
Oh.
That's true.
Oh.
Ah.
I think Celine Dion did as well, but I'm not sure because she's Canadian. But I think she was singing
but the
for someone
countries
else.
in Eurovision can have a history of pulling people from outside of their own country.
I
think the rule
do
is-
remember
The
Ireland
rule
was
is that
winning
if
it.
you lived in any of the European countries, you can
Man,
participate.
she's got a beard on her. Looking at this picture
Yeah.
you got. Dang.
I don't know. I think it's a more complex issue than is being portrayed here, not necessarily by us, because
That's pretty nice.
yes, it is just a beard. Yes, it is just a drag queen. It also is kind of important because it signifies a broad acceptance of someone who isn't traditionally gendered. But it's also not a huge world-changing human rights thing. It's just a fucking singing competition, guys.
I don't
Hey guys,
know.
I hate to interrupt you guys here for a second. I have to step out for just a minute, but carry on. I'll be back.
Oh. So, he's running away.
I'm not running away.
Occupy FMPL.
If only there was someone on here that used to host the show. Oh, wait.
If only.
Wait, any thoughts?
You know, I didn't look at the topics tonight. I didn't know, one, what Eurovision was until now, and two, who cares? Oh, my God, who cares?
All of Europe. I'm not, it's a big deal there. But,
I was giving a speech in front of an audience in California once, and there was a woman with a full beard. I mean, but she was not transgender. She was female, but just had some kind of condition that sort of made her look like a druid.
Made her look like a druid, huh?
Yeah.
She looks like a wizard.
Yeah,
Well, now. Let's hope she pulls some magic out there.
I was waiting for it.
I think, have any of you caught the Last Week Tonight with John Oliver?
No.
I don't know what that is either. I must live in a hole.
It's a new HBO,
I'm with you,
HBO half-hour show by the John Oliver. He used to be a reporter on The Daily Show, but he got his own show.
It's
I don't
basically
know.
the Daily Show, but since it's on HBO, they can swear and show tits.
Yeah,
Well,
they do.
That's
Makes
true.
it better.
Yeah. But he commented on it and said that it was a big deal because it was only a big deal because they were really trying hard not to talk about the fact that it was a cross-dresser. Well, yeah, a drag queen with a beard. Like they went out of their way in the reports, and he thought that was significant because they just weren't really talking at that point about it so much.
Didn't RuPaul solve these problems in the 80s? Are we doomed to make the mistakes of history? I just don't understand it.
I don't think any of these issues have really quite been solved because as long as there's people, there's always going to be a bias towards a regular categorization of genders.
We do like to stick all the square pegs in round holes. So.
People are people, you know?
Well, yeah, I agree with you. People are people, but I think it's not as big of a deal in Europe because I know cross-dressing isn't that uncommon, or as uncommonplace as it is there as it is here. So I think it's a bigger deal for us if we knew about it. But since most of this side of the world doesn't care about Eurovision, we don't.
I hear it's really big in Australia.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I have actually
Cross-dressing
or
or
They might have gone out. But
I think
they might have
Eurovision.
been thrown out in a move. But I have had a pair of white snakeskin stiletto heels that had a 6-inch heel on them. They were beautiful. I love those shoes.
Fabulous.
Really?
To
Gotta
be
see you
fair,
know
though,
sometime there, Turba.
I also do have 21 years in the theatre, so I probably have more female clothing that's for me than some women have. But no, I'm not traditionally a cross-dresser, and also
Not traditionally. Okay.
Conchita isn't even the first drag act that's been in the Eurovision. According to Wikipedia, which I was Googling very quickly while other people were talking, there was another drag act in 2002 called Sestra, and they haven't received nearly as much press about it because while they were at the show, they didn't win.
Yeah, I mean, like, do we? I mean, they didn't. No one's saying that he won or she won because of being in drag with a beard, right? They all consider it that the win was because of superior skill, right?
Yeah, I mean, the song she put out, that song would not be out of place in the opener of a Bond movie, for example. I think it was a good song. I like Ukraine's song better, but you know.
So she's the next Adele.
Yes,
So
Adele
she's
with a
prettier.
beard.
She's actually prettier than Adele.
To be fair.
Well, I don't know.
Well, that beard is magnificent.
It is a
magnificent
well-groomed beard.
Oh, it is well done. You can tell there is care, attention, and love gone into that beard.
There's probably been some waxing into that beard around the edges too. How sharp that border is. So now on Beard Night on Beard Night Party Line,
right.
Where we talk about beards and how well they're shapen.
Beards,
We should have got Andrew on. That man's beard is fucking fine. Run my hands through it.
His beard.
And then get a kendo stick in the face.
Oh.
I'm sure he would not appreciate that very much.
That wouldn't be comfortable.
That wouldn't be the first time.
I just think just to sort of bring this topic to a bit of a close, I like to bring up that how despite Russia's gigantic brouhaha about corrupting the youth, you know, about I think it was more than 50% of Russia's votes were for Conchita.
There's a corruption right there, right? I mean, that's the point. They've corrupted 50% of their population already.
And have you guys seen that episode of South Park where Cartman's in the swimming pool and he's complaining that white people can't be in the minority because they're the majority?
No.
Okay, never mind.
No, not that I remember.
Yeah.
Russia gets so bent out of shape for it about gayness that clearly they have, a closet syndrome. I mean,
there's some issues.
There's a reason why Vladimir Putin is constantly having pictures of himself taken with a shirt off.
I thought he was Australian.
Oh dear.
Do you want me to take my shirt off?
Oh, baby.
Are you offering to there?
Saxon hell!
Actually, that's what I should do, is I should bulk up, I should shave my chest hair into the shape of Australia.
Nice.
Get my Kubra hat and strap a ring of teeth around it and go to Halloween in America as Saxon Hale.
No, go to PAX Australia as Saxon Hale.
Are you gonna walk around saying that all night?
No, other people will just say it.
You gotta make sure you pose when they do. If you do that.
All right,
I
moving.
probably don't have time to bulk up for PAX Australia, so I might go as Spike Spiegel instead. And as an enforcer instead, because I just submitted my application, because I can't miss that shit.
No way.
It's PAX.
PAX. I wish I could go to PAX, but I cannot afford to go to PAX.
As much as Melbourne is some kind of weird neo-Victoria mixed with LA. Covered in graffiti. Anyway,
I'm still seeing the mix of LA in there. All right, so Gojira! New movie came out recently. Fantastic, so I've heard. But is Godzilla a cultural icon? Back in the day when Godzilla first came out, it was very, very clear that Godzilla was the embodiment of Japan's fear of nuclear war, just as Jack the Ripper was the fear of the darkness inside of the cities, inside of the human element, inside of England. But how Godzilla? The argument is made in an Ars Technica article that Godzilla is still relevant in a world that is filled with nuclear warheads, even though there hasn't been an atomic bomb used in decades, long time. Since World War II, I believe, was the last time. Well, except if, well, unless you count the tests by
hundreds of tests.
Yeah, the hundreds of tests. I mean, used in actual war kind of scenario. This is what I meant, because obviously the tests, except North Korea's tests, which probably didn't happen. So.
Yeah, they're nuclear friggin' M80.
Right.
How much fun is a giant lizard?
How much fun is a giant lizard?
Yeah. I have to sit closer. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting.
You're talking to guys who spend their Friday evenings doing a podcast.
How much fun?
We're not necessarily fun authorities here.
Hey, I'm going to a party tonight. What are you guys talking about?
Hey man, it is always the morning here.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
It's for Churba. For Churba, it's Saturday morning party.
That's the only way we can get Churba. His evenings are much more exciting than this.
So I mean, we've had monster movies going on for a little while now. In recent cinema history, we have Pacific Rim. We have had. And this just shows how much I don't watch monster movies a lot. So
why did you pick the topic, Victor?
Because it's culturally salient.
But I haven't seen it. I heard it was slow and boring. They don't show enough of the monster. I'll never get that Matthew Broderick Godzilla movie out of my head. God, that was awful.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you had picked this topic and this movie hadn't come out, we'd all been like, no. Because the 90s killed Godzilla.
Yeah, they did.
Godzilla 2000. Ugh.
To be fair, I did really like the look of the Godzilla in Godzilla 2000, even though I also like the look of, like, I don't know, Fatzilla that we've got in the latest movie. That 2000s Godzilla still looked really cool.
I think the new Godzilla looks really cool.
Yeah, I just said I think the new Fatzilla looks pretty cool too.
I don't think he looks fat, you know.
It's like a CG recreation of when they had to have big foam suits wrapped around small Japanese dudes.
That's funny. You're right. If I had to go to see that or X-Men this weekend, I'd go to X-Men.
Well,
duh.
X-Men was really good. I saw it. I didn't see Godzilla.
All right,
yet.
you want to change this conversation to how X-Men is a representation of the others' culture in Western civilization?
Yeah, in the 60s when it was.
To be honest,
X-Men
really needs an update with their themes because they're still doing 60s racism and it's 2014.
I have my bachelor's degree in the cinema and television arts. I could talk for like an hour about the others' culture.
Lord. Okay, we should just not.
Yeah, move on.
Hours.
Well, I mean, I guess back to your Godzilla comment. Like, how much can
when faced with the alternative
Godzilla movie? Yeah, okay, that shows the fears of the Japanese, right? But there's 20 other Godzilla movies where he's fighting a different monster, and I don't know if they really fall into that anymore. It's like, oh, Godzilla's saving us. They destroyed Tokyo, but he's at least not destroying all of Japan now.
I mean, never mind the fact that this Godzilla movie is not a movie made by the Japanese. It's a movie made by us, the Americans, and such.
We spent so long making fun of the dubbing in it. We were finally like, maybe we should make one where the lips match.
I must admit, I feel a bit sorry for New York.
Oh.
Because every time something gets destroyed in a movie, it's fucking New York.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be Tokyo in the Godzilla movies of old.
Oh no.
They even made a song about it.
Tokyo.
Godzilla.
Tokyo Tower in anime was always pretty.
Yeah, and now Tokyo Skytree.
Yeah.
In a way,
yeah, I mean, if you're gonna say that it's still relevant for a deeper meaning, or is it just relevant as a pop culture?
I think it's still relevant as a deeper meaning.
I think it's more relevant as a pop culture item than a deeper meaning.
I think we've kind of progressed past the
scary giant
World War II.
Yeah.
Well, look at the
what are the
Japanese
boogeymen?
nuke plants that melted down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still there.
Yeah.
In a way, SpongeBob, is the successor to Godzilla. Bikini Bottom.
True.
Yeah,
Go
Bikini
on.
Bottom is the...
SpongeBob succeed.
Yeah, it is, because Bikini Bottom is modeled on that whole Godzilla testing of nuclear stuff in the Bikini Atoll. So, you have the original inspiration for modern pop culture coming back.
Oh,
Thade, where do you
yeah.
get this stuff?
Well, clearly SpongeBob is inspired by Godzilla.
No, it's true. I'll go with that.
I thought he was high when he did
Yeah,
it.
I'll go.
Who's Fade?
No, she's talking about Nickelodeon.
I just thought they were high.
Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, lady.
Right. I wish.
Sometimes a sponge. It's
Imagine
just a sponge.
Right.
I'm talking about the creators of
I mean, if we're gonna go with that, then the suggested lore of what's going on in Frozen, I'll go with that as well, because that's really good.
I haven't seen Frozen either.
The whole
My kids have.
Frozen, Little Mermaid, and what was the other one? Trifecta of lore.
Oh,
Cars?
Rapunzel.
Yeah,
Oh,
they had the whole
Frozen,
thing.
Frozen, Little Mermaid, and Rapunzel.
Now
That-
have a trifecta about how they're all related to each other.
the Cars one is a good one too. I'll buy that one for $1.
I think that Cars is actually just an apocalyptic version of what's going to happen with Google's self-driving car.
I totally agree with you. I absolutely
Hold
agree.
on,
Got
hold on.
personality.
Like 10 episodes, we put an embargo on Google self-driving cars. Do we really want to bring that up again?
Well, considering that they've just released a concept that looks like you're, well, not driving, but not driving a fucking pet egg.
The coffin on four wheels, what it is.
Oh, come on now.
Well,
Sure,
there
so I
was
mean,
the
they're putting a kill
All right,
switch in
all right.
all of the phones.
Moratorium lifted. Let's get on this.
They're going to put a kill switch in all the cars, and make them drive off cliffs. We'll be like lemmings.
Oh God.
Actually, a very interesting question was raised a little while back. I saw it on Jalopnik. Was
Just as a matter of fact, though, lemmings were not stupid enough to jump off cliffs. They were corralled off of cliffs. Just as a point of fact.
That is
And,
not
and that makes the metaphor more apt.
I don't care about the metaphor. I'm just defending the intellectual capabilities of the lemmings
Okay,
at this
so
point.
the self-parking car that self-parked itself into another car was smart. Because that did
But-
actually happen. I'm just
here's
saying.
Here's an interesting question. Say you're barreling down the road in your self-driving car, you're surrounded by other self-driving cars, something goes wrong in your car and it's barely in control. It has enough to control to decide whether it should plow you left or right. If you go left, it potentially kills other people. You go right, it potentially kills you. Should your self-driving car decide to kill you?
Well, nominally, all of the other cars around it will figure out that something's wrong and create a gap around you. That's what the ideal technology is.
Yes,
That
but
is ridiculous.
let's
People should just
assume
learn how
this
to
is not
drive and be
possible.
at that.
All right. I mean, from a Captain Spock, from a Mr. Spock sort of
He's
perspective,
gonna go down with the ship.
you just end up killing yourself in that situation.
Lovely.
Always ensure you're in the vehicle with the higher occupancy.
Yeah, so the needs of your many can outweigh the needs of those few.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that's
You
a
don't
very
die.
pragmatic way to get around that, but okay. Oh, wait, what's next? What's next? Keep like a crate of puppies in the trunk or something?
To be fair, more than
Crate of
once
puppies.
has the way I've asked people if they want to ride with me when deciding who goes in which car when we're all transferring to another location is, who isn't afraid of death?
You can't be afraid of death and live in Australia. You
Yeah,
can walk
that's true.
outside and get bitten by 8 different things that will kill you immediately.
Except the huntsman spider, who's a bro.
Oh, Huntsman's and Bros, they're adorable. I love them.
Yeah.
They run sort of like when they're cruising across your ceiling at top speed. They're crazy fast, and they run kind of like someone filmed them and then just started chopping out frames. It's really cool to watch. It's like this weird stutter-stop run that they do, it makes them look almost supernatural. It's wonderful.
Nice.
Also, the other day, I hoovered up like 15 redbacks in my kitchen. That was kind of not cool.
I assume a redback will kill
or
you.
something.
Redback is basically, or is a close cousin of the Black Widow.
Wow, those huntsman spiders are big.
Yeah, but they're
yeah.
totally bros.
God.
They eat other bugs. They eat
Why
other
do people
spiders.
live in Australia?
Man,
We
that's
should
nuts.
just leave it to the deadly animals.
Well, it's not like the people who colonized Australia had a choice.
It's true, but they could go somewhere now.
They can turn, they could turn the entirety of the big outback into a giant solar farm.
True.
Wouldn't be the worst idea. The only problem is transmission, because I don't think you're quite grasping how far the outback is from
Everywhere
literally
else.
everything that isn't rocks and dirt.
No, maps have a really weird sense of scale when comparing continents. Like, for example, Japan will occupy like the entire length of California, and yet it is not depicted as being able of doing so on a map. So,
Well, Texas?
yeah.
My state is bigger than Texas.
Yeah.
My state is not the biggest state in Australia.
Yeah, and yet the
We are like
entirety of
90%
Australia
of the size.
is relatively small compared to the United States.
And we're like 95% of the size of the continental US, and most of it's just empty nothing.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
it.
now
The
we have to
visible
start
space is
making
small.
map makers.
Much like the United States is mostly empty space.
I'll mean it in the Midwest.
I would have said mostly inhospitable, but that's generally the southern states.
Oh.
Oh.
You know,
Oh,
okay.
but sure,
I have been.
what
I
of,
have-
what
I
of
have
Southern
been to
hospitality?
Many southern states. It's much nicer than you think, really.
Yeah, I've
Is it
also
not
been
bad,
to
right?
Yeah, well, that's-
No, I actually really like a lot of the southern states. Texas barbecue is the only food in the US I've met that actually rivals Australian barbecue. So,
Really.
yeah.
Austin, Texas is one of my favorite cities. So is San Antonio.
Austin, great. I love Austin.
So that next topic, since we've gone completely off the last one.
And now that I'm looking at pictures of spiders.
Yeah, those huntsman spiders, man. That's gonna haunt my dreams.
Oh no.
Oh, you think that's bad? You should go and look up not a funnel web, but a thing called a mouse spider, which is a cousin of the funnel
those
web.
things are horrible.
Except instead of having the down fangs, it's got these two big fucking legs coming off its face with these
Oh my
massive
God.
fangs that are about the length of your little fingernail. Just there.
They are horrible.
And they're prehensile. They can move them in and out. It's really cool. And they're bright red.
I had to Google that. I just had to.
I wonder if they can click them like canasters.
I just can't stand spiders.
As he goes, looks them up.
Scojo has posted a link to spiders, and I will add this link to the show notes. But for our final topic, and this is very much an internet thing. At least I think it's an internet thing, anywho. But if you browse around, particularly Tumblr, you'll see that preceding many a post, there is a trigger warning. Warning, this post contains violence. Warning, this post contains the topic of rape. And more ridiculously, warning, this post may trigger you if you have some weird, and it gives a scientific name for a fear that basically equates to a fear of standing in direct sunlight. There are too many really weird and stupid trigger warnings.
So wait, you're about to make the argument that people on the internet have taken something too far.
Wait.
Oh my goodness, no.
Because that hasn't happened ever, that nothing's been taken too far.
Just to solidify that argument for audio listeners and video listeners who can't see our chat, I just dropped a link in the chat for the other panelists of a screen cap from Tumblr, which is warning that trigger warnings may actually be unacceptable because the word trigger may trigger people who have experienced gun violence. We're through the fucking looking glass now, folks.
That's Inception
Wow,
right
that's
there.
beautiful.
Yeah, very recursive. It's like a Tom Cruise movie.
Actually, that new Tom Cruise movie.
Well, if you want to make the argument, is there anything wrong with putting a warning that you might the topic of sexual harassment or
look,
violence is going to be in it? I mean, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, but to a point. I mean, you can't really ever make the argument that not putting in a warning for rape victims is bad because you'd be yelled off of the internet. But to a point, I mean, you can't, there's, what's the name of that fear of holes? God, I can't remember there's a fear of,
something
random, Gee, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for that wonderful bit of insight. Yeah, I mean, but, I don't know. I mean, this is sort of the argument of when I was your age, we didn't have, we didn't need these safety warnings on these sorts of shit. But it's... Sherba's losing his shit over there.
I just googled fear of holes, and the very first thing it does is images for fear of holes, and just a strip of images of lotus flowers, which are one of the most triggering things for people with those.
I thought it was going to be completely different.
Yeah, me too.
It's called trypophobia.
I was looking for a Pam Anderson joke. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for too.
No, that's a fear of large masses.
Creepy.
Oh, nothing, guys.
Shoulder?
Yeah, I'm no selling that one.
Yeah, anyways. But
I'm already going to get yelled at by Tumblr. I don't want to have the even more reason to get yelled at by Tumblr.
I don't care if I get yelled at by Tumblr. They have, most of what they're yelling at me is, can we have your URL? No.
Oh.
Anyways.
Why?
Because my URL is sonic.tumblr.com. So they want that something fierce. But anyways.
The way I see it, you just have to use better judgment. And I know it's a risky business asking people on the internet to use their better judgment. But really, you just have to stop and think. Like, if it's a completely innocuous article about, say, video games, and you're discussing that scene in Tomb Raider where the new one, where Lara Croft is not raped, but certainly threatened with it very aggressively. Yeah. You might want to put a trigger warning on that article because it would kind of come out of nowhere for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're writing an article, say, about rape statistics in the US, you probably don't need to put a trigger warning on it because the article itself is entirely about rape.
And then there are
the title has already sent the people into whatever anxiety
you've already caused harm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no point in saying, rape rising across the US. Trigger warning might include rape.
I mean, and that's like that's sort of trauma over weird phobias, where I think is where you were going.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't be expected to put, if you're writing a post, if you're posting pictures of your cat on your Tumblr or or putting a video of your cat on YouTube.
This may contain hairballs.
This may contain videos of. This may contain images or discuss cats.
But you would be surprised.
That's a good idea.
Felinophobia or something.
You can get triggered by blowhards in the real world at this point and just be like, okay, well then why would they need to write above it, warning: a peanut butter pizza may contain peanuts.
Yeah, and that's the same. That is exactly the argument I'm making. It has gotten to the point where this trigger.
That sounds gross.
It was a dessert pizza at this place. They literally had that sign up there, and we have to indicate, even if it's obvious, that it's there. And I mean, I know it's because it's an obvious allergy; it can kill people. But it's kind of well, duh, it's peanut butter. Of course it's going to contain peanuts.
That is exactly the point I'm trying to make.
You say that, and there's probably a peanut butter out there that doesn't have peanut in it.
Well, then it's not peanut butter, and they need to put a warning for false advertising.
Exactly.
There you go.
Well, you know how they call it something, and then it has a completely
nutty butter
ingredient in.
Does not contain nuts.
Yeah.
But that's still that's still different at that point.
Nut-ish butter?
Nut-ish. Nut-ish butter.
Milk
made out of tofu.
But yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make here, and it's just that it's to the point where trigger warnings have gotten to the level of peanut butter.
Well, I mean,
liability.
but you gotta look at it. Yeah,
What
the
about
reason
the
that they're
lady who
putting
burned-
the reason they're putting peanuts on the peanut butter, saying it contains peanuts on peanut butter, is because they're gonna get sued. If
Yes.
somebody's gonna sue them, or they're
They could
interpreting a
still-
law or a requirement overly broad. But they're always gonna be more safe than they need to be. Is that really bad? I mean, are you hurt?
company's going to do that because it's the liability issues behind it. So
I
if they
think-
put
I think society. I'm not hurt, but I think society is hurt. I think we are.
so tell the lady
letting
from
the
McDonald's
world.
that.
I think we are letting the
Oh, God.
world run with the assumption that everybody is stupid. And you know what? If stupid people who have nut allergies, who know they have nut allergies,
Oh, no.
go and get the peanut butter
Don't say
pizza
it.
and die.
Don't say it. Oh no. Oh.
No, but see at that point, then they can go and sue the company for not telling them there was peanuts.
Well, they
in it
can't. Their
anyway.
family can.
There needs
They're
to be a
dead.
common
They'll
sense
They're dead.
law.
And so the common sense behind this is the companies, i.e. the people who are providing this information on the internet, are gonna kiss their butts and say, okay, here's my liability waiver. I warned you.
There
I
needs.
hope you know I'm
Victor,
finding this
define-
discussion very triggering right now.
Victor, define common sense.
You have to find common sense.
Whatever Victor thinks.
Yep.
If you eat a peanut butter pizza and you're allergic to peanuts, that's a suicide.
Yeah, but like,
You can try it, but you don't want to drink hot coffee and burn your mouth, and then you go and you see.
well, that McDonald's case is completely different because actually that coffee was too hot.
Oh yeah, yeah. She straight up had a very
She
legitimate.
had a
case.
legitimate. Yeah, people use that all the time, and it's actually a legitimate case.
I
Yeah.
still find it,
It is a
interesting though
textbook
that she's
liability
able,
case, literally.
in terms of the law, she's able to get more money for burning her tongue on coffee than somebody who has lost someone in their family.
Oh, if you're saying the amount of money people get,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a whole other topic.
I
She
do
burned
definitely
her tongue.
understand that. I think my mic has died.
It was her body, I think. She had third-degree burns on her body.
Yeah, like all over her thighs, skin grafts, all sorts of
Right.
business like that.
But
Reduced sexual function because she spilled coffee on her groin as well and needed skin
wow.
grafts and surgery there.
You know, automatically, lots
It
of
was
money
crazy.
for her then.
Oh yeah.
I need a gab. Am I dying?
No, you're back.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. We can hear you.
Yeah, I was just looking at the meters, and her volume had gone had gone way too low. But anyways,
So I mean, you know, like you watch a movie and you expect to see like, you know, or a TV show, and they'll put, you know, contains sexual sexual natured scenes and violence and strong language. Like, you know, if you're gonna throw that into your article and you want to put that stuff at the top, makes sense.
Here's an
Should
interesting
there be a
one for you.
regulation? No.
There's actually, it's not a regulation, it is policy on ABC, Australian Broadcasting Corporation, as well as the SBS, the Special Broadcasting Service, where they will provide, well, not a trigger warning necessarily, it's the same sort of thing, but in front of certain programs, they provide a warning that says, people in this program may be deceased, but they were not deceased at the time of filming, and like basically just giving a warning because there's actually a lot to do with that in Aboriginal culture regarding images of the dead.
Oh.
So they put a big warning on the front of some programs specifically because of that. That's the kind of warning I can see the sense in, because some people might get very upset by that. And it's a long-established cultural thing that isn't really, you know, necessarily something that's their personal thing. Other people with things like, you know, very weird esoteric phobias, or completely normal fears for that matter. I've seen people demanding trigger warnings on creepypasta because they found it incredibly creepy. It's the point. Literally
Duh.
the point
I mean-
of the thing.
that's like picking up a book by R.L. Stein and not expecting it to be a little bit creepy. Not very creepy, but just a little bit creepy.
Mm.
Well, I think a lot of articles and stuff on the internet aren't as obvious as peanuts and peanut, pizza.
It
Well,
was
that goes back to what I was
a
saying
generic
before.
example. It was just a generic
If you
example.
are writing an article or a blog post or whatever, just use your better judgment. I mean, if it comes out of nowhere, like the example I gave, then you put a thing there that says, trigger warning, adorable bulldogs.
Or a Boston Terrier.
Boston Terriers, rather.
You know what? I just remembered this. The Animal Planet does a warning for their show Too Cute. Warning:
Yeah.
This program may contain scenes that are just too cute. It's just
Well, then they should put that, on Victor's favorite show.
you think they got sued?
But, like, if it comes out of nowhere, maybe put a warning on it if it's a particularly hard topic for some people. If it's something that's completely normal or some esoteric fear that it's unlikely that people are going to have, then you don't need to bother. It's not necessary. It's not something you should be doing in the sense that it's a mandatory thing. You can do it if you want, but it's not necessary or really particularly useful. You don't need to go out of your way to coddle a tiny amount of people who may or may not actually have a problem with it.
Yep.
Because while, yes, it is unfortunate that sometimes these people do get stressed out and upset over these things, there is a point where when you have a condition, it is partially your responsibility to not partake of media that will upset you. I don't like certain types of media, and I don't consume them because I know they'll upset me. Why can't, other people can do the same? Personal responsibility is something everyone needs to have. Go on, Thea.
I've never watched Ichi the Killer, but I understand it's quite a movie.
Mm.
It might be too cute, though.
Yeah. Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance is just an adorable movie.
I think the raid is probably triggering for people who have a deep-seated fear of completely sick martial arts movies. God, that movie's good.
All right, well, let us proceed as we normally do to the end of the show with our things of our day that we're going to be recommending to our audience. Does anybody have a plug that they wish to plug?
I'm playing a lot of games again. Well, iPad games. Anybody playing Hearthstone, that Warcraft card game?
Yeah.
I know people who
I was actually checking that out recently.
It's pretty crazy. It's both annoying and great at the same time.
I can definitely agree with that.
That and
What
Clash of
devices is
Clans.
it?
What's that?
What devices is it available on?
I'm playing on the iPad.
Same here. I'm playing it on my iPad, so I wouldn't know if it's available in the Android stores or not.
Fair dues. I might have to look it up. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, it is. worth
If
some
you
time.
like Magic the Gathering, it's kind of a crossover into that idea in terms of gameplay. So it has a very interesting setup to it, and you have to battle like various characters from the game. It's interesting.
But there's
Just
humans
out of frame,
behind
there's
them.
a 6-inch stack of
Yeah,
magic
if
cards
you-
up there.
Because I only played the trial version, so I only really played against the bots and had the tutorial just to see how the game was going to set up. But when you get into it, you create your profile, and then you fight other people pretty much.
Right, but they limit what you can say to little emoticon things. So you're basically playing against people without having to put up with the annoying habits and characteristics of people. So there's a sort of a kind of a weird thing going on with that. Yeah, there's a game mechanic where
That almost makes me want
humans
to make
are
a profile.
they're sort of reduced. Humans are sort of reduced to almost like nodes. It's Matrix-like in a way.
Interesting.
Churba, have you got anything?
Get Skojo first.
What?
Okay,
How about throw him under the bus?
Okay. How about I keep Skojo from being thrown on a bus, and I'll go before you guys. My thing of the day is an article on popularscience.com, popsci.com, and it's a really interesting article about the real life science behind the summer's most outrageous sci-fi movies. It talks about the potential science behind advanced intelligent extraterrestrials, whether or not they would look like us, and it sort of goes into that a little bit. Shows where they were described, where these ideas came out of. In that case, it came out of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Talks about genetic hybrids, super beings, robots. So if you like those kinds of shows on, say, the Discovery Channel, where it goes into showing the potential technology behind cool futuristic tech, this article is probably pretty much for you. You should really check it out. I thought it was a fun read, and I think you'll like it too. So that'll be in the show notes. Now, which one of you is up?
Amanda.
Hey, he didn't tell me I had to come up with anything, so I've got nothing.
You ready? You got a good app other than the thing you were doing?
No.
What's that game you were playing? The squishy jelly ones with the adorable faces.
Oh, Jelly Splash, I think it was called.
I don't know.
But
It was like the.
Are you
Candy,
wait?
It was almost like Candy Crush, but with adorable jewel face, squishy face thingies.
Yeah, no, that was I think Jelly Splash.
Okay.
That's just a matching game where you just kind of match little
I don't know.
fish things.
Okay, guys, one of you has got to go. Come on.
I don't have anything too interesting to check out. I just have the fact that my wife's expecting a girl in July.
Yes, that's right.
And so most of our time it's been trying to get the house prepared.
Oh,
Is that why she was swearing at you earlier?
Yeah, probably.
What exactly are you expecting other than a baby?
It's a girl.
Okay. Cool. No twins?
Fade,
Just a
was
single?
No, unfortunately. No, that'll be for the second kid, right? When we're like, well, only got 2, and it'll be like 3.
I see you are following
Actually,
the
a friend-
footsteps
a
of
friend
our
of
dear
mine-
friend Jason.
Yeah, a friend of mine had he had 1, and then he had 4.
Oh, fuck.
I was like, whoa.
And he had 4. Wow. Whew.
Wow.
That's
Oh,
like 5
Jesus.
kids suddenly. Woo.
Fade, it was your birthday this month, wasn't it?
It was.
It was?
Yes. Yeah, May 13th, yeah.
Well, happy belated birthday to
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Happy belated birthday.
I'm old
Sherba,
enough to be your dad.
Sherba, it's down to you.
It was my birthday the day before Thade's, which is how I remember his birthday.
Happy birthday to Sherba as well, yes.
But I actually have 2 things. The first thing of my day is that, Victor, hold up your degree.
Ah, yes. Well, it's not my degree, it's the degree placeholder. The degree gets sent in the mail, but yes.
Oh, they do
Yes.
that. Yep.
Yeah, your degree placeholder, yes.
Yes, I'm now a graduate of California State University, Northridge, with a bachelor's degree in cinema, television arts, and an emphasis on radio production.
Yes,
Great.
and that is not, in fact, the thing of my day. The thing of my day is, in fact, a graduation gift that Victor got with his liberal arts degree, in that someone gave him a McDonald's application.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah, it was my sister and Fred who gave me 2 McDonald's applications glued together, but in between them was $100 and $2 bills.
Well, that's good.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I thought that was very classy.
I don't know
liked that
where
joke.
I don't know where they got the $2 bills from, or maybe they special ordered them from someplace.
you
Or
can-
they
you can
ordered
just get them from the
bank.
bank, dude.
No. Every time I go to the bank, I get they do not ever have enough $2 bills to make that much money. B, they're always really worn. These $2 bills were amazingly crisp.
And he used them all.
I
did not
find
use
out.
them all. I used a bunch and I deposited the rest in my
wait.
bank account, and then I used them.
I think I remember
So he
someone
used them all.
said you can actually buy $2 bills from the mint and have them sent to you.
That's probably what they did, because these were stupid crisp.
You can also get them in an uncut sheet and then cut them yourself down into like perforated notepad size, so that you can like just
Really?
tear off bills.
That's hysterical.
I like
It's
it.
great. And it's
That would-
great. They sell so much cool $2 bill stuff. But the actual thing I have to plug is a website called progressbar.com.au. It is a games review site. And these guys are actually like real on the ground type of chaps. They buy their games more often than not. It's just regular people like you and me. It's a smaller site, but they're real good guys. I support what they're doing there. So go and check them out. They've got good reviews up there. They're top quality guys.
Do put the link into the group chat so I can put it in the show notes.
I will do that indeed.
All right. Well, that was a fantastic episode of Friday Night Party Line. Thank you, Churba, Thade, Skojo, and of course Amanda. And hope to see you guys next time on Friday Night Party Line.
Very good.